Workshop 1, Materials and Possibilities. Welcome to the first hands-on workshop of the Murals Without Walls series. This first workshop has the theme of materials and possibilities. All three of our workshops have an overarching theme of the self, where we will explore who we are, celebrate and reflect on our own unique lived experience and expertise, and how we ultimately show up in our art-making process and production. This workshop makes space for us to look at our available materials and workspaces, explore our comfort wielding and using these tools, and to consider how we are reflected in the choices we make whenever we make an image, assemble a collage, or simply make a mark. Before we get started, I wanted to let you know that I will be making timing suggestions, such as take 2 minutes to do this task in our activities. These are intended to give structure to those who want it, and to mirror the workshops we'll be giving live, as we only have an hour and a half together during those sessions. However, this is not intended to stress you out or make you feel like you're falling behind. Ignore the timers. Pause the recording, or simply keep making, even though I move on to a new activity. There is no wrong or right way to follow these workshops. Workshop outline. Here is an outline of what we'll be doing. In our live workshop, we will introduce ourselves, names, pronouns, any access or body needs, and our favorite mark-making tool. You can introduce yourself too on our Discord channel. Our first activity will explore mark making and our own personal gesture. We will write our names and turn that into different marks. We will be marking the page and ripping and/or cutting paper. In our live workshop, we will share some observations together by chatting with our voice, signing through the interpreter, or sharing on the Discord channel if we feel like it. You can share on our Discord channel too. Our second activity will explore our tools as objects. It will help us get set up for our third activity too. We will look, feel, and examine our materials without using them as art tools. You will be encouraged to record or journal some observations. We will not share the outcome of this activity live on Zoom, but you will be invited to share on Discord if you want. There will be a 5-minute scheduled break. You can choose to take a break or keep making with the third activity. Our third activity will be a selfie or self-portrait assemblage. Assemblage means to assemble in French and is like collage but without glue. We will make faces with our tools and materials and then try to create a face that we identify with. We will be picking up and placing objects. Any remaining time in the live workshop will be for chatting, sharing, asking questions, or posting to Discord. You can take this time to keep making or share your experience with us on the Discord channel. Tools and materials. Getting set up. For this workshop, I've spread out a few different materials on my art space. These were all in the art kit that was available for pickup or drop-off from Kickstart. Don't worry if you didn't get a chance to pick it up, or you're joining us from outside of Vancouver. I encourage you to either pause the workshop, or, while I describe the items in my art kit, you grab whatever you feel like making with today. I encourage you to get some kind of drawing surface, whether that's paper, a notepad, a tablet or digital drawing surface, recycled paper, or the backs of envelopes and printed paper. Anything you have permission to use to mark up is great. I also encourage you to have some kind of mark making tool. A mark making tool is anything that makes a mark. Within the art kit you may have received from Kickstart Disability Arts and Culture, we have some pipe cleaners in a few different colors, a yellow capped glue stick, a set of 12 semi-moist watercolors with a natural bristle brush covered in a hard plastic tray, two thin pieces of dowel or wood, two colored Conte pastels, a pair of medium and extra soft charcoal pencils, two small paintbrushes with a round and flat brush head, and a Sharpie marker. While I lead these workshops, I'll be using a lot of markers because they provide a high contrast mark, which is easier to see through the video. If you're working digitally, that's just fine, but I want to encourage you to do some hands-on making in this workshop. However, if you want to stick to a digital-only exploration, that's cool too. You could simulate cutting or ripping by using a marquee or selection tool of your marks or images and moving them around. When we place objects, you could always bring in images from other sources. I will be speaking with the assumption that folks are using materials that can be ripped, folded, glued, and marked up, but however you want to translate these activities is completely up to you. In the live workshop, we'll spend the first 15 minutes of the workshop saying hello, sharing our names and pronouns, any access needs we want shared with the group, and telling each other a mark-making tool we always use if we get the chance. A mark-making tool is anything that makes a mark. Take a moment to think about the last time you were asked to write your name. What tool did you use? Was it a pen? Was it your phone's notepad? Did you handwrite it or did you print it? How many details can you remember about the last time you wrote your name? You can also join us in the #introduction channel on Discord if you wanted to introduce yourself and share your memories with us. First activity. Let's warm up with our first activity. Get ready to make a really personal mark. You ready? I want you to write your name on any piece of paper using any mark-making tool of your choice. There is no restriction on what name you use. You can use your chosen name, your birth name, your English name, your imagined name, your full name, your nickname. If you write it really fast, try writing it again at half speed. Let's spend about a minute doing this. When you're done, Look at the marks you've made. What do you notice? Try turning the page upside down and looking at the marks now. Is it still your name? Let's turn your personal marks into some ready-made materials. We're going to isolate the letters. Here's a few ways you could do this. If you have scissors, great. Cut out your letters, however you want. No scissors? Rip up your page. You can rip the letters carefully, or you could rip through the letters. If you feel you wrote your name too small to do this activity, you can always write your name again larger. You could also rip the page up and write each of your letters on those ripped pieces. When you're done, lay out all the pieces of paper around your making area. Okay, if you haven't already gotten started, let's go. Let's spend about 2 minutes doing this. Let's look again at our marks. If you can still see your name, or you laid it out in order, that's cool. Let's try mixing it up now. The goal is to move the letters around until we only see marks. Take a minute or so to look at your pieces of paper or ready-mades and see if you can pick out a favorite or one you like. It could be a shape or the impression on the paper or the weight of the mark. It's up to you to choose. Let's take a minute now to choose. If you've chosen your mark, let's take another piece of paper. For these kind of warm-up activities, I really like using scrap paper or scraps that I make as I go along. This is why I really like newsprint, because it's very inexpensive and easy to rip. In fact, I keep the packing paper, which is usually newsprint, that I get when I receive parcels and packages, even when I'm working in a gallery or office space. Because it doesn't matter if it's wrinkled for me to use when I am warming up or practicing or creating a prototype for a project. Whatever paper you choose to use next, let's translate the mark we chose from the smaller ripped piece and see if we can make that mark again, but bigger. Here's a few ways you could do this. You could make it big or small. You could fill up the page with as many of these kinds of marks as you can. Go as quick as you can. You could be very intentional and go slowly to try and make it exactly as the mark you made when you were writing the familiar gesture of your name. You could just make one mark and go over it multiple times, adding weight to your mark or feeling it out through the repetition. If you haven't already started, let's take about 2 minutes to do this. In the live workshop, I will invite participants to share their mark. If you wanted to, you could share your mark on the Discord channel, #workshop-1-materials. You could do this by describing it. You could do this by taking a picture. You could take a video of yourself talking or signing about it. However you want to share is up to you. Personal mark making. Drawing and mark making is a skill. It is likely that you have once in your life said, "I can't draw," or heard someone else say it. This is often because we are comparing our marks, images, or skills to someone else. And if your art practice is not drawing or illustration, chances are you haven't spent very much time developing the skill, and it is very much a skill. It might be a skill that some folks with really great hand dexterity, grip strength, hand-to-eye coordination and spatial planning do seemingly effortlessly. But if you think about it, a computer can do rote copying pretty expertly too. That's because it's a skill that can be learned. It's not a natural, innate thing that makes anyone lacking if they don't have it without any training. What you have that a computer or a person with very high copying skills does not have is your vision and your experience and your gesture. The way that you look, navigate through, make, and experience things around you is something that you cannot program into a machine. And while it might be frustrating when we're learning how to express it, it ends up being something that is really unique and wonderful when you do. Whatever name you chose, you made those letters. And those letters were made of your marks. This is your personal gesture. This is a mark that you have probably spent years making over and over again. This is why we value signatures, the act of making a unique mark, even and sometimes especially if it's not legible, that stands for you. Let's put your mark or marks to the side for a bit, but don't throw it out. It's now a ready-made material that you can use as we keep exploring our materials. Second activity. Let's start exploring some of the other tools and materials we've gathered for today's workshop. Before we uncap anything, let's start by looking, touching, feeling, and exploring each item we've gathered in every way except as they are intended to be used. This next activity is about breaking expectations and allowing ourselves to write our own rules. As you interact, pick up, touch, and examine each material, you might have words or thoughts or memories or feelings that come up. If you don't, that's okay. Seeing a marker and thinking the word marker is totally valid too. Using a piece of newsprint or scrap, I encourage you to mark down or record something from each material. Place your tools and materials around your making space in a way that reflects your observations, being very intentional about where you decide to stack or combine or place your objects. Here's a few ways you could do this. You could write down the word, like an inventory, in the order that you pick it up and examine each material. You could examine your materials and intentionally place them in an order around your making space, and then reflect this categorization or organization in your journal recording. For example, all mark-making tools in a pile, all objects with white, or flat objects together. You could use each material to make a mark or write a word as your recording or journal entry. You could write down an observation, memory, or associated word that comes to you as you examine the materials. You could choose not to write or mark any page and simply spend time examining each material closely and mindfully. You could use any of your senses besides sight or touch to examine the objects. If you haven't already gotten started, Let's take around 5 minutes to explore our materials in this way. If this feels like a long time, that's okay. It can be weird to spend time not using art making tools. If you feel anxious or anticipation, that's okay too. You could also write or draw or gesture how you feel on your paper. As a reminder, your gesture is also a tool you have available to explore and place in your space. Let's begin our 5 minutes now. In the live workshop, I will invite participants to share any observations or photographs of how they organize their materials in the Discord channel, #workshops-1-materials. And we will take a 5-minute break. The voice channel on Discord is also open if people decide to chat and share there while we give our interpreters and our facilitators a break. You can pop in and add your observations and notes whenever you're making, whether it's before, during, or after the workshop. Okay, let's take a 5-minute break. Welcome back. For today's last scheduled activity, we're going to use our materials to make a selfie assemblage. Assemblage is a French word that means to gather together. You may be more familiar with the word collage, which means to stick things together. But we're not going to make with any specific plan to use glue, although if you decide to use glue, then great. If you need to move your objects and materials from the last activity back into a format that makes space for you to make, then you can do that. Or you can leave them and start working from that place. You might end up enjoying this new way of organizing your space when you start to make. Third activity. In collage and assemblage, a lot of the work that is involved is getting materials. Whether you are combing or flipping through a magazine to find a picture that you can cut from, or if you spend days or sometimes months gathering material from sources so you'll have enough to work from when you get started, it's often a labor-intensive activity. Today, our labor is alleviated or decreased by the fact that we're going to use the objects and materials we've collected or have available to us in our art kit. And since we've already spent time observing and getting familiar with our objects and tools, we can really focus on our subject. We're going to build a selfie assemblage, or we're going to create a face using our objects and materials. For this self-portrait, there are no hard rules about what you can or cannot use or do. You know your face and your body the best. Here are some ways you could start this activity. Start by placing the materials you have into a face. It doesn't have to look like you to begin with, and it might not ever really look like you. This is okay. If you want a certain shape or color, you can draw or paint or cut/rip paper to make an object. Try to use your gesture from the first activity if you can. You can move objects and try them out. You could take pictures of each step if you had access to a camera. You could sketch a quick face shape and then place objects on top of that. If you haven't already started making, let's start. This is the last scheduled activity of the workshop, so you can take as much time as you like to craft this assemblage. When you feel like you have a face, start thinking about how you could make it start looking like you. You might be using objects that are important to you. You might be trying to match the size of your facial features. You might only use specific colors. You could be expressing an emotion. You decide what makes this selfie or self-portrait relevant to you. In the live workshop, we will start making. The camera will show the interpreters and the facilitator's screen first for about 5 minutes, showing some examples. This will allow people to focus and make without being distracted by other people sharing or getting done quickly. However, we encourage people to chat with their voice or using text or share pictures of what they're making in the Discord whenever they are ready, or to turn on their cameras and show as they are making. I'll make here for 5 minutes to show you some ideas and what I am using. After 5 minutes, we will welcome anyone who signs to share their thoughts or images with the interpreter and the group. And we will open up sharing on the main Zoom channel with one person talking and sharing at a time. The Discord channel continues to be active, so you can post and share what you're making there too, if you want. Do you see yourself reflected in your selfie? Did you end up using your art-making tools as objects in your self-portrait? Or did you end up making your own ready-mades and marks with the tools to create an image that was more satisfying? For my self-portrait, I was interested in using a lot of straight lines. As I get older, I am definitely spending more and more time focused on the lines and shadows in my face. Even my hair is more straight and coarse, and so I was attracted to objects with marks that had straight lines. I am also always thinking of my body as it relates to being hard of hearing. Because I do not wear a hearing aid, and my inability to hear is invisible, I think about whether or not I want this to be more apparent or visible to the people around me. When I am with hearing folks, I am frustrated that I have to constantly remind people to face me or stand on my left side. When I am with non-hearing or signing friends and colleagues, the need to have a visual indicator of my hearing loss is unnecessary, and yet I talk about it a lot when meeting new people as someone who is oral and hard of hearing. So, in my selfie, I used the negative part of a ripped piece of paper to outline my right ear and surrounded it with a dark mark to make it more noticeable. Thank you for joining us for the first process-based workshop in the Murals Without Walls series. If you want to keep making, we encourage you to do that. These workshops are a starting point for you, and if you have lots of ideas, then that's great. If you want to go right into the next workshop, you can do that too. Visit the Discord channel if you want to share or see other people sharing and posting too. I look forward to seeing you at the next workshop.